Hey everyone, just coming from a doctor appointment. I had a pre-op. Turns out I got a meniscus tear that I gotta have surgery for on. Well, I don't have to, I get to have surgery for. Thankfully, I'm able to get in right away. For now, we got the best medical care in the world. But as I was walking out of the clinic, it's raining and it's a little bit chilly, not too bad. But then I thought, at least it's not cold and snowing. And when I was in the doctor's office waiting, which actually I didn't have to wait very long at all, which is pretty cool. But as I was waiting, I was reading my chapter for today, which is Ephesians 5. And when I was coming out, I got to thinking, when it wasn't thankful it wasn't at least cold and snowing, that how we feel about that depends on our vantage point. Here in Minnesota, like in other places in the country, snow was up this year, snowfall. And for a lot of people, they're very thankful for that. Because the housing market, with the housing market and the construction business plummeting, in Minnesota, a lot of construction guys plow in the wintertime. And with construction down, a lot of those guys are very thankful for the large snowfall this year because it gave them a lot more work. And then I started thinking further about that. I don't know why. I know like a half a dozen guys that plow snow. But there's one guy I know that he has contracts to plow snow. But he gets paid a monthly fee, for some of his contracts, no matter what the snowfall is. So for him, for those contracts, he probably gets irritated to see the snow falling because he's already getting paid. So he'd rather have no snowfall. But for the guys that get paid, that are being per job, obviously they want to see the snow. So my point is that you're thankful for the snow depending on where, or not thankful depending on what your vantage point is. For example, guys that sell snow blowers, they're thankful. Snowplow or snowmobiles or whatever, you get the idea. And I just started thinking about that with Ephesians 5. Ephesians 5, the first part of it, 15 verses or so, it gives some things that Paul gives us, some stuff that you shouldn't do. You got to stay away from. If you belong to Christ, don't do these things. And it's interesting, the wording Paul uses at the beginning, he says, instead, be thankful, or instead let there be thanksgiving. And that's interesting because if we are really broken over our sin, we've surrendered our life to Christ, and we know that when we say Jesus saves, we know that means He saved us from God's wrath, eternal condemnation. And we really get to that point, we are so thankful. I think of, wow, all the crazy stuff I did. I could have easily died in my sin and been condemned. And I know a lot of you can relate to the same things. I'm not unique. Where you just are overwhelmed every day in thanksgiving. I can't believe He saved me. And that's really the perspective. And your attitude towards some of these lists and how is going to really determine on whether you're really broken over that sin and thankful for redemption, or if you really aren't broken and the reality is you're not driven to be that thankful for being redeemed because you haven't been redeemed. You haven't surrendered to Christ. So with that, I'm just going to read this, and you'll get where I'm coming from. And just going into this, a lot of people like to emphasize the grace thing, which there's no doubt, there's zero for us to do to get saved. We are saved by grace through faith. That's it, and that's all. But we're also called to obedience. A lot of people confuse righteous works with obedience. They're not the same. Okay? So check this out. Chapter 5. Therefore, be imitators of God as beloved children. and walk in love as Christ loved us and gave himself for us as a fragrant offering and sacrifice to God. A lot of people like to stop there. Hey, we're just supposed to walk like Jesus walked and love, love, love. Okay? But you know what? You really should read the rest of it, because here's where it really, not only are we imitators of God, but we're called to be, obedient in all these things. Sorry about that. Somebody is approaching my vehicle. So anyway, here we pick up again in verse 3. It says, but sexual immorality, so what's sexual immorality? It's fornication, homosexuality, sodomy, masturbation, the like. You get the idea. But sexual immorality and all impurity or covetousness must not even be named among you, as is proper among saints. It doesn't say occasionally or once in a while, or for the most part. It says must not be named among you, must not even be named among you. Let there be. Now this is what the guys that are in the shop and they're doing their off-color jokes and all the rest, and the profanity, and this puts that to rest right now. Whether if they don't make a big enough deal about it, then they're not in God's word. Because check this out in verse 4: let there be no filthiness, nor foolish talk, nor crude joking, which are out of place, but instead let there be thanksgiving. Verse 5: for you may be sure of this, that everyone who is sexually immoral or impure, or who is covetous, which is an idolater, has no inheritance in the kingdom of Christ and God. Let no one deceive you with empty words, because people are deceiving. They're saying, hey, you said a prayer once, eat, drink, and be merry. Or, hey, you said you believe, you're good. Let no one deceive you with empty words. For because of these things, the wrath of God comes upon the sons of disobedience. And then there's that pesky word obedience again. Let no one deceive you with empty words, for because of these things the wrath of God comes upon the sons of disobedience. Therefore do not become partners with them, for at one time you were darkness. No exclusions there. I don't care who's listening to this or who you're talking to. At one time we all are or still in darkness. But now, talking to believers, but now you are light in the Lord. Walk as children of light. For the fruit of the light is found in all that is good and right and true. And try to discern what is pleasing to the Lord. Take no part in unfruitful works of darkness, but instead expose them. Are we supposed to live and let live? Hey, you know what? They're going to get theirs. I can't. No. We have to expose the unfruitful works of darkness, whether it's in false teaching or whatever. We have to expose it, not just kind of go along to get along. So that's all I got for today, and God bless you all. We'll see ya.